What is the relation between the word revolution and Operation Flood? Yes, there is a relation. Operation Flood was planned to flood India not with water, but with milk. If explained in simple terms, this mission was responsible for making India, a country with more than 130 crore people, self-reliant on milk. Officially, this mission was to make the country self-sufficient in dairy commodities, known as the White Revolution. The dairy sector in the pre-independence period was mostly unorganized. The earliest attempt at dairy development in India can be traced back to some princely states and the British government in India. The British Defense Department was responsible for establishing dairy farms to ensure the supply of milk and butter to the Imperial British Indian Army. The first farm was established at Allahabad and later at Bangalore, Uttakamund, and Karnal. These farms were maintained later by the Indian Army till 2021. In 2021, the Army decided to close down the farms because it is easy to collect milk from the market due to the self-sufficiency of milk in the country. The time of the Second World War gave momentum to privately owned dairy industries with processing facilities. Due to the origin of private players, processed milk, butter, and ice cream came to the shops in cities like Madras or Chennai, Bombay or Mumbai, Delhi, and Calcutta. Polson Dairy, Keventers, and Express Dairy pioneered dairy processing in pre-independent India. The over-profit-oriented mindset of most dairy companies paved the way for dairy cooperative producer unions in India. At the time of India's independence, milk procurement from rural parts of India and its marketing in the urban areas were major concerns. There were some companies which concentrated on procurement and marketing, but these companies had little interest in the case of farmers. Among them, Polson's, a private dairy at Anand, Gujarat was the prominent one. This company was launched by Pestonji Edulji Dalal in 1900. By the 1930s, they entered the dairy market. They procured milk from the producers through intermediaries and processed it. Then, the processed product is sent to Bombay. Bombay was a good market for milk and other dairy products. So, Polson's Dairy profited immensely. In the mid-1940s, farmers in Kaira, a place in Gujarat, asked for a proportionate share of the trade margin, but the company denied it. Moreover, they even rejected a modest increase. This incident attracted the attention of the Iron Man of India, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. He advised boycotting milk deliveries to Polson Limited. Later, after a 15-day strike led by Morarji Desai, who was destined to be the Indian Prime Minister, and Tribhuvandas Patel, the initial stage of a solution was born: the Kaira Cooperative. Later, farmers gained control of their milk supply. The Bombay Milk Commissioner agreed to bypass the middleman Polson Dairy and purchase milk directly from the farmers' cooperative. Thus, the saga of Kaira District Cooperative Milk Producers Union Limited began on December 14, 1946. In the early days, the village cooperative supplied 250 liters per day, which gradually increased to the current level of 310 lakh liters per day. The name Amul became a household name in India. Between 1946 and 1952, Amul tried to get monopoly rights for selling milk to Bombay under the Bombay Milk Scheme. In 1952, they achieved this. The Bombay government cancelled the contract with Polson's Limited, and Amul got the new contract, but another problem waited for them. The Bombay Milk Scheme was committed to taking all the milk produced by the Erie Milk Colony in Bombay. During peak winter months, due to surplus milk, they could not take Amul's milk, forcing them to cut down purchases from its member societies. This problem affected the members' confidence. The solution to this new problem was a new dairy plant. In 1955, a new dairy plant was established in Anand to produce butter, ghee, and milk powder. In 1955, Kyra Union became parent to Anand Milk Union Limited, also known as Amul. The acronym was derived from the Sanskrit word Amulia. Mr. Verghese Kurian, who holds a master's in mechanical engineering with dairy technology from Michigan State University, was selected by Tribhuvandas Patel as the dairy engineer of the Kyra Cooperative Union. Later, this man became instrumental in Amul's great success and chief strategist for India's milk revolution. When India launched its first five-year plan in 1951, the dairy industry also got prioritized. The government also introduced schemes like the Integrated Cattle Development Project and the Key Village Scheme, but the results were negative. The growth rate in milk production was 1.36% per year from 1950 to 1973, which was lower than the population growth rate. In 1946, Kyra Milk Union constructed a new modern cattle feed compounding factory at Kanjari near Anand, which was sponsored by Oxfam. The cooperative administration invited the 10th Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri. The Prime Minister also stayed in the house of Ramanbai Patel, a farmer in the Ajarpura village, to learn about the conditions of farmers. After the inauguration, Lal Bahadur Shastri returned to Delhi and wrote a semi-official letter to his cabinet ministers, the chief ministers of states and governors, about his plan to replicate the Anand model or Anand pattern across India. At that time, almost all dairies built under the second and third five-year plans were running at a loss, but Amul was an exception. Soon, C. Subramaniam, Minister for Food and Agriculture, asked Dr. Kurian to devise a plan to set up the National Dairy Development Board. Interestingly, Kurian demanded rupees 30,000 to start the mission. But even though the amount was small, the senior bureaucrats of the Food and Agriculture Ministry opposed the idea. So, the plan was shelved. Dr. Kurian was not ready to accept his defeat. He went back to Anand and convinced the board members of Kyra Union. Once the board was convinced, he and his team devised plans to create the funds. Thus, NDDB was born. The government of Gujarat entrusted NDDB with the opportunity to set up 3 cattle feed plants at a cost of rupees 30 lakh each. For each plant, NDDB earned a 5% royalty. In this way, NDDB secured 4.5 lakhs, which was the first earning of NDDB. Naturally, Dr. Kurian became its honorary chairman. Since he was an employee of Kyra Cooperative, he didn't draw any salary from NDDB. In other words, NDDB filled its kitty at the cost of farmers in the Kyra district. Dr. Kurian's file with his plans to extend the Anand model across India slept for 2 years, along with other files in the Planning Commission. One day, then Home Secretary L.P. Singh ICS came to Gujarat for a visit. The Inspector General of Gujarat Police, Imdad Ali, brought him to Anand. During the discussion, Dr. Kurian explained everything, including his plans, advantages, and experience with red tape and bureaucracy. When L.P. Singh returned to Delhi, he took a copy of the plan with him. Later, in a meeting arranged by L.P. Singh with the cabinet secretary and others, Singh asked a question.
He asked nothing from us other than to forward his proposal to Rome. How come we have not done this yet?
This question gave life to Dr. Kurian's plan, Operation Flood, or the billion-liter idea. Since NDDB was registered under the Societies Act, it could not handle massive tasks like handling donated commodities, using funds, etc. So in February 1970, the government of India set up a new public sector company, the Indian Dairy Corporation, under the Indian Companies Act 1956, to receive gifts, generate, and handle funds. NDDB was to continue as a technical consultancy body. In July 1970, NDDB officially launched the billion-liter idea, or Operation Flood, to uplift the Indian dairy industry from a drop to a flood. In short, The Anand pattern means maximizing farmers' profit and productivity through the cooperative effect, thereby increasing the country's milk production. The entire system will be divided into three: village society, district union, state federation. This setup will ensure the smooth functioning of the system. Due to memories of food shortages during the World War era, the European people and government would not permit the destruction of stored food. India was in good condition not only to negotiate, but also to use aid. Pakistan also tried to obtain this aid, but Dr. Kurian's strategy worked. India got 1 lakh tons of skimmed milk powder and 30,000 tons of butter oil. Dr. Kurian also convinced the concerned authorities that the food aid would be handled differently or would not be distributed at low prices in the minister's constituencies to make them famous. If assistance is not utilized correctly, then we will be forced to change our policies, including foreign policy, according to the decisions of donors. The basic plan was simple. The mother dairies in the metros would recombine milk collected from farmers with milk powder and butter oil and sell it to urban customers. Another 18 cooperative dairies will be developed. The farmers and consumers will benefit from this plan. In other words, NDDB will use the aid to increase India's dairy production and efficiency. NDDB also decided to utilize buffalo milk to make skim milk powder. All the experts recommended switching from buffaloes to cows because in the early 50s, the manufacture of milk powder from buffalo milk was considered impossible. NDDB was not ready to accept their advice because buffalo suited better to Indian conditions than European breeds. Harachand Meghalaya made the impossible possible. UNICEF favored the older design spraying technology, but Dr. Kurian and Harachand insisted on getting a new spraying machine from Denmark. With this machine, they started to make skimmed milk powder from buffalo milk. By 1975, all imports of milk and milk products stopped. The only import permitted was food aid. India imported 3,000 tons of baby food alone in 1955, and India's butter imports were 500 tons annually. In 1975, it was the first milestone in the history of the Indian dairy industry. The result of the project was a great success. Other countries like Sri Lanka studied and tried to implement the program in their country. Dr. Kurian and his team made the impossible mission possible. India finally became self-sufficient in milk and dairy products. Now, India exports dairy products to different parts of the world. Thanks to the White Revolution, India produces more milk than the recommended dietary allowance of 377 grams per person daily. Even though India emerged as the largest producer of milk by surpassing the USA, India's exports were only $392 million, or just 0.62% of the world's total production. Now, Indian agencies are planning schemes to increase exports. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. If you like our video, please like, share, and subscribe.